This video is for a school assignment. All right, now, okay, before we start, I just want to clarify a few things, okay? These are all my opinions. I do not consider myself a book critic of any sort. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. This is not meant to be mean criticism. It's meant to be constructive criticism. So for this book assignment, I am reading The Kingdom of Without. That book right there. And it's written by Andrea Tang. That's her right there. The book is a fiction book. It's kind of like sci-fi, future, kind of political, to be honest. I chose this form of submission because I didn't want to write a 7-paragraph essay, and also out of the options that I wanted to do, this one, I was told I wouldn't have to present it in class. Anyway, what's the book about? The Kingdom of Without is set inside of Beijing, China, but in the future, like very far in the future. The general plot of the entire book is that the government of Beijing, China has kind of collapsed. And the city's kind of like formatted into kind of like rings. So we got the first and second rings. Those are like the highest of the society that you can possibly be. And like they're the political people, like all the like governors, the judicial, the Supreme Court, all those people, they're like really high up. And because they're really rich and they kind of have like really good lives, they don't care about any of the lower rings that much. Then we got the third and fourth rings. These rings are kind of like set like the middle class of society. Like third ring's like noticeably better than the fourth ring, but the fourth ring's pretty nice too. Then we got the fifth and sixth ring. The fifth ring is kind of like just below the middle class mark. And then the sixth ring is the lowest down you can be. Like, you are poor. If you are born in the sixth ring, there is no possible way that you can climb up. At least that's what the book said. Actually, the entire government is run by a company called Lilium. Lilium Corp was able to manage to like take over the government because they were able to like fund all of the people's rise to power. Like all the highest officials in the court, they were brought back up from scholarships given out by Lilium. Another thing about Lilium, they make a fictional drug called complacency. Complacency is pretty much all benefits. It heightens your senses. It makes you a lot stronger. It's faster. The one downside is it's very expensive. And since complacency is so good at its job, everyone uses it. Like, I mean, everyone like in the lower classes uses it. And that's kind of like how Lilium Corp keeps the poor people poor by making it so that you need complacency to work your job. Since you need it, you have to pay all the money you get from your job to complacency. And now to the actual story. Okay, so the main character is a girl named Ning'er. Ning'er is a sixth ring girl. She's lived in the sixth ring for all of her life, and she's been an amputee for the majority of her life because her father sold her right arm and her left leg for the drug complacency. Ning'er works at a bar called the Blue Star Brew Pub, but she didn't always work there. She used to be a thief, breaking into apartments from like the third and fourth ring areas, and she was able to do this because of her prosthetics made by her friend Ye Rong. Ye Rong is a mechanic that could be easily making a living to live in the third ring, but he decided to stay in the sixth ring and make illegal gadgets for a rebellion organization under the Red Yaksha. The Red Yaksha is kind of like the most powerful like figure that isn't part of the actual government. He is like a revolutionary, kind of like a Batman, like stuck in the shadows of not being seen at all. Everyone in the like Supreme Courts is like really mad at him and wants to get him captured, especially Minister Chen. He's actually one of the more prominent bad guys of this story. He's also like the most powerful member of the like Supreme Court. Whenever Ning'er gets in a rough financial spot because she isn't making enough money to get rent, she sells her prosthetics because she's able to get them for free. The opening scene is actually Ning'er just kind of like wobbling to Ye Rong's workshop area to get new prosthetics because she just sold hers. There's a poster on the wall that's like very important. It had like the entire government's poster boy, Chen Yang. And that's actually the son of Minister Chen we were talking about. He's basically a child prodigy. He got into like the Brochet Guard at the youngest age that anyone has gotten into the Brochet Guard. The Brochet Guard is like the highest military of the government. The normal government is like the Germande. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. That's kind of like the main form of military / policing around the area. So in the next thing, while Ye Rong is scolding Ning'er for selling her prosthetics again, he gives her a job opportunity because she's always desperate for cash. And he was like, the Red Yaksha needs a thief. And she's like, no, I don't want to do that again. I can't do it without a complacency, which I have put behind me. And then she sees that her dad, yeah, that's right, the person that sold all of her limbs when she was a child, had taken all of her money. And rent's due in like 3 weeks. So she's like really desperate right now. So she does the only logical thing left to do, which is go back to Ye Rong and say, I took the job. So after taking the job, Ye Rong sent her to a meeting place, which was in the third ring, and was actually a house she had broken into before. Turns out there were bodyguards there. They attempted to capture her. She escaped. She went back to Ye Rong's place. After a bit of yelling, Ye Rong was like, stop. And then Ning'er turned around to see the Red Yaksha. And then the Red Yaksha's like, yeah, I need you to help me. And then Ning'er's like, how do I know I can trust you? I don't know if you're working with the government. And then plot twist, the Red Yaksha takes off his mask, and it's the young Marshall dude, the government's poster boy. Ning'er's like, wow, that's cool. What am I stealing? And then the Red Yaksha, or I guess Chen Yang, because that's his actual name, is like, it's not what we're stealing, but who. We're getting the Lark. The Lark is basically a revolutionary who was able to get so many people on her side, like with her voice, her powerful speech. And then she was able to storm the gates of the first ring. When they got there, they didn't expect it, but the Brochet Guard came out and killed everybody. Everyone died. No one survived. Instead of killing the Lark, because she apparently knew stuff, they put her into like a state of unanimation. And then so Chen Yang, the son of the person that put her in there, wants to get her out to get the information that they knew, and then use that to take down the government and make it more equal for everybody. She meets the crew that she's going to be working with. She meets a dude named Zian, who is kind of like a demolitionist expert, and then like he's charming, he's like a ladies' man. So they show Ning'er the plans for how to get the Lark out. Then they start fighting over something while like Ning'er just kind of like sits in the corner and reads the plans. And then she kind of like chimes in and there's like, hey, there's a flaw in your guys' thing, you can't do this here. And they're like, wow, you're so good, you're hired. She finds out that they need stuff for explosives at the place she works at, the Blue Star Brew Pub. They get the explosives from a black market dealer named Pirate Yang. While they're doing the sting operation, like Ning'er's a bartender, she gives Chen Yang a drink, and he gets drunk, and he tells her about a bunch of past stuff, like how his brother died from an overdosage of complacency because he was kind of like crazy. And then he was like the replacement child in the family because his brother was supposed to be like the one that inherits everything, and he was just there. Since Chen Yang's part of like the army forces people, he's out in the streets. He's also like kind of a famous figure. They send Ning'er to go make sure he's safe because there might be an assassin coming after Chen Yang. She snuck in the camp. She found the assassin like on the floor with a dagger that she claimed was poison tipped. Chen Yang kind of like tries to like talk to her a little bit, but then she gets up and attempts to stab him. Ning'er goes in, takes Chen Yang out, And as they run away, Chen Yang collapses because he got grazed by the blade of the girl. The poison's not just any poison. To use it as torture, that's kind of like pretty horrible. The book said to use it to kill, that's personal. While Chen Yun's sick, they're taking care of him. He asked Ning'er to expose the secret of him being a red yaksha and the young marshal to the public someday. After he's all recovered, they go break into the Lilium Corp factory to steal the Lark. The book mentions this, that the original two people that were meant to go in was just Zian and Ning'er, but Chen Yang, he decided he wanted to come along, so he came along. After they're like looking around a little bit. They see like jars, they see like tubes full of complacency and all that stuff in there. So the security system detected their presence in the building. They had to run because there were security guards on their feet, and then they had to like dodge guards, and she went through a secret trapdoor into a room. Chen Yun had a mental breakdown, and he was like, I need the Lark, I need the Lark. And he was like, no, you don't. You're really good at words the way you are. You don't need her to do the revolutionarying for you. And then plot twist, Chen Yung's dad comes in, and for some reason he doesn't have on his mask that he clearly has. He doesn't have it on, so his father recognizes him, and then they barely escape. But now the brochet guard is after them, and like the next morning they already know where they went. To get away, Chen Yun gets himself captured to let everyone else get away. And then the Lark woke up, but she didn't trust them because they thought it was another one of Lilium's attempts to get her to expose all of her secrets. So they go rescue Chen Yang from his house because kind of being just grounded. While they all go out, they just get away smoothly with no problems. There were a few loose sparks, and a giant fire burnt down the entire manor, like the entire building. That was all just burnt down. And then so there was a public broadcast with Chen Yang, and then he takes his mask off and shows everyone who he is. The entire city like cheers, like everyone like comes out of their homes and starts like rushing towards the center of the city, and that's the end of the book. It doesn't elaborate any further. All right, well, that's the plot out of the way. Andrea Tang, she did a really good job writing this. Like, she was like really descriptive in her writing. There's also a lot of flashbacks, which makes sense because a lot of the characters that were mentioned appeared in like the first 3 chapters. So they were all introduced in the first 3 chapters, and they all had their like huge backstories that were like really important. Like Ning'er, Ye Rong, Chen Yang, and the Lark. Like those people had like 3 pages each worth of like backstory. And then she's also like really good at adding kind of like plot twists. A few of them were predictable, but there were a few plot twists that I did not see coming in the slightest. A few negative things about writing. So there's a few plot holes, but it was all just like describing. It wasn't actually any like plot holes. It was just all in like the descriptions. But now let's talk about the main character, Ning'er. Her character is great. She's awesome. She has a lot of backstory. Like, she watched live as the Lark stormed the gates, and then everyone came out, and then no one was happy. During this entire events, the entire events of the book, Ning'er is 17. And that's also kind of like part of the reason why this whole thing happened in the first place. So the reason her father is on complacency is because he couldn't provide for both of them with his normal job. Because of like the laws, he was technically still her guardian, so he was able to access her bank account and just steal all of her money. Some would say that Ning'er's dad is the real hero of the story because he's the reason that the whole thing happened. Alright, and that's about all I have to say on this book. So I'd say in conclusion, the story is great. All the criticism I would say is kind of like in the smaller details. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.